Good morning, everyone. Your morning weather briefing for this July 25th finds that there are no major changes in the forecast versus what I presented yesterday. Temperature and rainfall outlooks, still plenty of cool weather in the forecast for a lot of the middle of the country coming up for the next 10 days or so. Should be seeing temperatures then becoming more normalized or even slightly above normal for the 11 to 15 day period. 6 to 10 day period has trended a little bit drier today. I think that's mainly due to the passage of time. Some of the rainfall that was in the 6 to 10 day forecast yesterday has now moved into the 1 to 5 day forecast period. 11 to 15 day forecast has trended a little bit wetter today. QPF discussion for the 1 to 5 day time frame. I do consider this forecast as somewhat too wet. Much like yesterday, I think that eastern portion of the precipitation shield, especially for portions of Iowa into eastern Missouri and a lot of Illinois, I think that a lot of that area to the right of that line that I just drew will probably see less than a half inch of rainfall during this time frame. No disagreement though with the bigger range shown in Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, and Colorado during this time frame. As we get towards the day 6 to 7 period, a good model agreement that the Corn Belt is going to be drying out for later on Monday and into Tuesday. The same thing with the Plain States. Very good rains likely during this time frame for the Mid-South. High temperatures yesterday did see a few low 90s in southwestern portion of the Corn Belt. Otherwise, another mild day across the Corn Belt region yesterday. Extreme heat once again seen in central and southern portions of Texas. Not a lot of rainfall to speak of, at least through 1 o'clock this morning in the middle of the country. You can see that radar estimated rainfall is showing that there is some shower and thunderstorm activity that is getting into the northern plains and into the far northwestern Corn Belt early on this Wednesday. And you can see that on the radar right now. Again, an area of rainfall in southeastern portion of the northern plains and also some rainfall across northern portions of Nebraska. That rain that is on the radar right now is all associated with a cool front that is now moving into far northwestern portion of the Corn Belt. And as that cool front continues to be moving its way southeastward for today and tomorrow, it is going to be giving most anyone in the Corn Belt at least a small chance for rainfall for today and also for tomorrow. I would think that the coverage of this rainfall activity is going to be extremely scattered in nature to the point where most of the Corn Belt is still not going to be seeing much in the way of rainfall either for today or for tomorrow. However, you can see that on this map here that there is a pretty decent risk of severe weather in the northwestern Corn Belt for both today and also for tonight. So places that do get under any of those strongest thunderstorms will be able to see a significant rainfall amount in the near term, but again emphasizing that all of this activity is going to be very widely scattered in nature. That is meaning that a good portion of the Corn Belt is still going to be seeing nothing in the way of rainfall in the near term. You can see this exhibited by the various rainfall maps. Rainfall forecasts from today through Friday show that really none of the models are suggesting anything close to a widespread significant rainfall event in the heart of the Corn Belt from today through late in the day on Friday. That is going to be changing though for Friday night through the weekend and into early portion of Monday in the Corn Belt, and that is all in association to an upper level low pressure system that is going to be impacting the region during that time frame. You can see that upper level low by the time we get to 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday, still located across the central portion of the Corn Belt. That would still mean that probably eastern and southeastern portion of the Corn Belt will still be having a rainfall threat into the daytime hours on Monday, but the biggest portion of the rainfall in the forecast for the Corn Belt is going to be for Friday night through the weekend period, especially impacting southern portions of the region. You can see that on 5-day rainfall forecast through 7 o'clock in the afternoon on August 1st, that the models in general are suggesting that the better rainfall amounts are going to be focused more towards southern portion of the Corn Belt. Clearly, you can see that there is quite a bit of model differences on the details of the rainfall threat, a situation where the European model, obviously in the bottom left there, is most pessimistic on any sort of a significant rainfall event in the Corn Belt. I think that model in general is a bit too dry. Keep in mind, though, that the bulk of the rainfall in question is not going to be arriving till late in the day on Friday and continuing through a good portion of Monday, so there's still ample time for the rainfall forecast for the near-term rainfall event to be changing before we get to the point where any rain is going to be starting to fall in the Corn Belt region. Overall, for the next week or a little bit longer than that, my forecast is unchanged with regards to What area of the Corn Belt is going to be seeing the most limited rainfall amount? That would still look to be Iowa, especially in eastern portions of that state, as well as Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. Again, that will be the least favored area for any appreciable rainfall for at least the next week or a little bit longer than that. Would expect that a lot of that area probably seeing rainfall amounts of less than a half inch in that time frame. Temperature-wise, still a situation where there is no heat in the forecast for a lot of the middle of the country, but especially the case for the western Corn Belt and central and northern plains. That'll be the case through the opening 1 or 2 days of August. Looking at temperature anomalies for today, not an especially cool day across the Corn Belt, but you can see that a big-time cool air mass is starting to move into northern portions of the plain states for today, with some much below normal readings there, and that cool weather will be spreading southward and eastward from there. Looking at a snapshot of temperatures for this Friday, you can see that especially western portion of the Corn Belt and central and northern portion of the plain states, seeing temperatures running easily below normal, if not so much below normal readings. A big part of that area seeing temperatures running more than 10 degrees below normal for Friday. As far as the rainfall forecast longer term is concerned, I do think that for the most part the Corn Belt will be drying out again for later on Monday, and that dry weather probably lasting through at least Wednesday. I do think that the final 2 days of the 6 to 10 day period for Thursday and Friday, August 2nd and 3rd, could be featuring a rainfall threat returning to the Corn Belt. That rainfall threat obviously not shown at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday, August 2nd from the overnight European model, kind of disregarding that model look this morning. You can see that the GFS operational model, the Canadian operational model, even to some degree the European ensemble are suggesting some sort of a return to rainfall chances in the Corn Belt for the Thursday-Friday time frame of next week. Then as we get towards the 11 to 15 day period, still a situation where we are looking at some sort of a northwesterly flow aloft to be continuing into the Corn Belt with a dome of high pressure still confined to southwestern portions of the nation. Here's a look at the 500 millibars at the very beginning of the 11 to 15 day period, and you can see the dome of high pressure in southwestern portion of the nation and somewhat a northwesterly flow aloft in the Corn Belt. Not much has changed as we get towards the end of the 11 to 15 day period. Still a dome of high pressure in the southwestern U.S., still somewhat of a northwesterly flow aloft in the Corn Belt that should be keeping alive rainfall chances. Overall, you can see that heights are higher at the end of the 11 to 15 day period than they are at the beginning of the 11 to 15 day period. I think that means two things: that we are going to be seeing a warming trend in the Corn Belt during the 11 to 15 day time frame that I'll discuss in more detail here in just a moment. And with that warming trend, we are going to be seeing the jet stream lifting more northward, the storm track lifting more northward. All of those things combined should be giving the Corn Belt overall better rainfall chances in the 11 to 15 day period, which explains overall my fairly wet look to my 11 to 15 day rainfall forecast this morning. Getting back to temperatures again in the 11 to 15 day time frame, I think that overall a lack of any heat in the Corn Belt through at least around the August 1st or 2nd time frame. Temperatures then returning to more normal levels in the Corn Belt sometime between August 2nd and August 4th. And then for August 5th and beyond, we are looking at more above normal temperatures returning to the Corn Belt. Looking at your temperature anomaly forecast for August 6th, some near to above normal temperatures on the Corn Belt forecast for the GFS ensemble, better warmth shown in the Canadian ensemble, and even better warmth shown on the European ensemble at this point. Right now, just kind of believing a blend of all of those models right now, looking for some above normal temperatures to be returning to the Corn Belt by around August 5th, and those above normal temperatures like continuing for the rest of the 11 to 15 day forecast, which today takes us out to the August 8th time frame. In international weather for this morning, near to below normal rainfall expected in the former Soviet Union summer row crop areas for the next 2 weeks. Very meager rains on an additional basis going to be seen for today, but otherwise the 10-day forecast is quite dry. A lot of areas nothing at all in the summer row crop areas of the former Soviet Union, again for the next 10 days, and not looking at any big rains for the 11 to 15 day period. Temperatures running pretty easily above normal there for the 1 to 5 day time frame, with some 90s in south southeastern Ukraine and areas to the east of there, some moderation in temperatures then for the 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 day periods. In Europe, still some wonderful rains for the next 2 weeks in southeastern Europe, and fairly decent rain is going to be seen in Poland. But to the west of there, looking at strictly below normal rainfall for the next 2 weeks across Germany, France, and nearby areas. A lot of that area looking at nothing in the way of rainfall for today through Friday, and nothing big in the way of rainfall for the rest of the 10-day forecast and into the 11 to 15-day period. Temperatures in a lot of Europe running pretty easily above normal for the next 2 weeks. Some of that heat is going to be seen in the near term. Looking at your high temperatures yesterday across Europe, you can see that various portions of Germany and into France saw high temperatures yesterday that climbed into the lower 90s. We'll be seeing more of that, if not even warmer than that, for the next 3 days. Looking at your high temperatures for tomorrow, you can see that there is going to be an extensive area of 90 to 95 degree heat, probably some areas getting to 95 to 100 tomorrow in France and Germany. Probably little change in those temperatures for Friday as well before we do see some moderation for the weekend period. For spring grain areas of the former Soviet Union, their forecast looks to be trending a little bit wetter once again. Quite decent rainfall across a lot of that area for the next 10 days. Over in China, 24-hour rainfall shows that our remnants of Tropical Storm 12W brought some very big rains yesterday to far northern portion of the North China Plain and into the western corn and soybean growing areas of Manchuria. The forecast, though, fairly dry for the corn and soybean areas of China for the next 2 weeks, with near to below normal rainfall. A little bit more rain going to be seen in some portion of Manchuria for the next couple of days. Otherwise, their forecast is dry through the end of the 10-day time frame. A little bit wetter forecast for the North China Plain, as some half to inch and a half rainfall amounts are going to be seen in portion of the North China Plain for later on in this work week period and into the weekend. Otherwise, the rest of the 2-week forecast looking at below normal rainfall for the North China Plain. Above normal temperatures are going to be dominating all corn and soybean areas of China for the next 2 weeks. Canadian rainfall forecast not particularly wet, mostly below normal rainfall there for the next 10 days or even longer than that. Particularly limited rainfall for the next 10 days in southeastern Alberta, across a large portion of Saskatchewan and into southwestern Manitoba. There will be some warmth in the Canadian prairies for Monday, otherwise mostly below normal temperatures in their 2-week forecast. For the Australian wheat areas, any decent rains for the next 2 weeks across a portion of Western Australia, a small portion of South Australia, and into Victoria. Your driest area for the next 2 weeks looks to be the wheat areas of New South Wales. No change in the look of the Indian monsoon. Not particularly good in southern and far western portions of the nation. Your best rain is going to be in southeastern Rajasthan and into the major soybean growing areas of Madhya Pradesh. That's what I have for your Wednesday. Everyone have themselves a great day.